A battle for the ages between Kenny Elissonde and Movistar, as well as Roglic showing his true potential. Critérium du Dauphiné Stage 7, 135 Ks. This stage, the first two-thirds of it, is exactly the same as we will see in the Tour de France on Stage 12 this year, except they don't do Alpe d'Huez. They do the Galibier, Col de la Croix de Fer combo, but they finish up to Vorgenay. I'm sure I got that wrong. 6Ks, 7.2%, but it's the first 4Ks that are really steep on this climb. A break went without too many big name climbers. It did have multiple Movistar riders in it. There was no footage on Galibier. It took a while for the break to form. It had Lefay once again, but Verona and Mühlberger from Movistar, and back in the peloton it was Christophe Laporte pacing Croix de la Fer. So yeah, it wasn't being paced hard by the GC group. Jumbo not trying to bring it back. Donovan went up the road, and it was actually Mühlberger pacing. But Trek had three guys: Schoens, Sturven doing work to repay Kenny Elissonde, and Uno X came to the front and sort of said to Laporte, "Can we start pacing?" He said, "I don't care." Eventually, Trek brought back Donovan, only to be counterattacked after Sturven's good work by Mühlberger. So Movistar, the whole time on Croix de la Fer, were trying the 1-2 combo with Verona and Mühlberger, whilst FDJ took it up behind, but still not really dropping too many big guys. Kenny decides to bridge across. Schoens has finished his work. He's now on his own. And Mühlberger, this is incredibly frustrating. When riders say, let's work together, and then like 2 minutes later, attack the other guys, and Kenny is fed up. And this isn't the last of it. He says to Verona, why are you playing? We only got a 2-minute lead on the peloton. He says, screw this, clicks into a bigger gear into the big ring and attacks Verona, going across with a cross tailwind across to Mühlberger, making Verona, well, actually Verona got a sit on Lefay. So this is good tactics from Movistar. Kenny wasn't happy with it, but Movistar were playing it really well. In fact, Mas got dropped today. They still let their two guys go for their own result in the break. Really great tactics from Movistar today. Meanwhile, in the peloton, Caruso's clearly gotten Haig to pace Croix de la Fer. The group is not thinning out to sort of 10 or 15 guys. It's bigger than that. It does drop Catania in the break. It's all brought back, and then Verona attacks with Roland on the descent. And here we see Kenny, the first. We're about to see another one, Italian TikTok gesture to Mühlberger, saying, why are you doing me like this? Mühlberger then has to close Lefay, who tries to sneakily attack on the descent, and then Kenny's like, I'm off. I've had enough with this. And then Lefay, the second in 1 minute, gives Mühlberger the Italian TikTok gesture, even though they're both French guys. So I don't know what's going on with those two, but Mühlberger kind of backs himself out of the break completely. Meanwhile, Caruso attacks after Croix de la Fer largely hadn't been paced full gas for Luis Leon Sanchez, who'd been in the break, dropped back to be a satellite rider, maybe a descent attack here for Caruso. That's how he won a stage in the Giro in 2021. But the problem is Luis Leon Sanchez never lets Caruso get to his wheel and kicks really hard, and maybe Caruso didn't have the legs anyway, and Roglic was marking this, so it was never going anywhere anyway. Well, I don't know, maybe he got a gap on Gadu there. But yeah, Luis Leon never literally got Caruso to his wheel until it was too late and started his kick too early. So that went nowhere. Meanwhile, Kenny's going about 1,000 kilometers an hour down the descent, being like, I will catch Carlos Verona on this descent or die trying. And we're about to see some really good technical descending from Elissonde. He's smaller than Verona. Verona actually had the advantage on sort of the 4% gradients, but Elissonde was quicker than him on the descent. And it was a great battle between these two across Croix de la Fer and, of course, on the descent. And then the actual final climb, Verona attacking him again. Verona looked the stronger legs-wise uphill, even though he's a bit heavier than Elissonde. You see here, you see how Elissonde approaches this corner. He ducks in wide compared to Verona's position, so you can take a sharper or a more acute angle into the apex, and then that then spits him out into a better position on the right-hand side to then hit the apex better on the next corner. Just really great stuff from him, and it's interesting to see the comparison between the two on that descent. But they get to the final climb, and Verona just drops Kenny Elissonde straight away. So great work from Kenny. He was isolated against the two Movistar guys. They worked him over a little bit. And Verona, who never has had a pro win in his career, he's 29, been a professional for, I think, a decade or so in Bike Exchange, now Movistar, drops Kenny, looking good. Bahrain have just sort of slow-paced the descent. AG Tuara moving up O'Connor into position, but they don't have many domestiques to pace. And it's FDJ with Amaury from the break who's tired. Does drop Kreiswijk after the Stora pull. So maybe on this 10 to 13 minute climb, Gudu was going to try something. He didn't really. It's Guerrero who attacked for education first. Him and Chavez looking not too bad. Menkes trying to bridge across to him. Storo's done with his work, and it's McNulty attacking. Johannesson following, then O'Connor. So then everyone goes in with Roglic and Jonas following O'Connor. And it's looking okay for Verona at this point. 1 minute 20, the climb levels off with 1k to go. He's just got to survive 2 kilometers, but then bad news for him. Jonas attacks. He's got O'Connor on the wheel, Primoz on his wheel, and is not looking good for Verona. All the other GC contenders and a big threat for Pogačar in the Tour with Jonas looking this good. Caruso's dropped. Haig having to pace with him. Geoghegan is dropped. Bennett was dropped before this. McNulty went over his limit and cracked badly. And Jonas looks comfy pacing on this. Patchy Villa giving some encouragement to Verona from the car. But then Jonas kicks again. The gap is 50 seconds with about 1,200 meters left of this climb. And Roglic, teleportation mode, Slovenian national champs during COVID peak era 2020. Original ones will know when Roglic teleports, time gaps don't matter anymore. It's just a matter of, does Roglic want to win? He's going through that corner downhill, going into the last 600 meters at about 55 k's an hour. And I think even if he caught Verona, I reckon he would have let him take the win, but he doesn't anyway, so that's all speculation. Verona takes his first ever pro win. Perfect tactics from Movistar, even on a bad day when Mas lost everything on GC. They worked over Ellison and the rest of the break. Roglic takes about 14 seconds on O'Connor, much more on Caruso, and Jonas comes through for third. An incredible show of strength going into the hardest stage, at least in my view tomorrow, given that expecting the big gaps on that final climb. But Verona wins the stage, Roglic second, then Jonas, O'Connor, Johannesson, really nice result, fifth, Chavez, Gudu, Menkes, Geoghegan and Haig rounding out the top 10. Roglic goes into the GC lead. It looked like Wout van Aert didn't push himself too hard on the climbs today with a commanding lead of 124 on the next best rider that's not his teammate, O'Connor. So it'll be interesting to see what can the other guys try tomorrow. A lot of them don't have very strong climbing domestiques, and Jumbo have the best 2 riders, it looks like, uphill in this race with Roglic and Jonas. Very, very hard finish, 30-minute plus climb. Can't wait to watch it. I'll see you with a recap of it tomorrow. Ciao.